In this video tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make a simple case for the 555 piano. To start with, I'm going to use 2D design. So I'm just going to open that up. Okay. Now in 2D design, the default is probably the wrong size. So what I mean by that is the piece of wood that you've got will be 600 by 300. So if we go up the top to setup, across to drawing, and then across to layout, if we click on there, we can then go to user defined and we can change the material size to 600 by 300, so it's 600 on the X and 300 on the Y, and we can do exactly the same for the design guide, so you can change that to 600 and this one to 300. So make sure you click user defined and then it's 600, 600, 300, 300. Okay, and I'm going to say OK. Now with that space there is now the maximum I can make one sheet of the plywood. Okay, so now I need to go and get my shape. So I'm going to go to online. So pick a browser, and I'm going to search, do an image search for whatever instrument I'm going to do. So I'm going to do a saxophone. Okay, so let's do a Google search. So I'm just going to google.com. And in here, I'm going to type in saxophone. There we go. And I'm going to images. And obviously, it doesn't matter what instrument you want to go to there, so it's just the exact same process. So I've just said saxophone images. Now I'm going to go to tools because I don't want something with lots and lots of colours. I'm going to get the computer to draw around that for me, okay? But obviously I can't do it if there's lots and lots of colours, it's going to get confused. So I'm going to go to the type of image and I'm going to say clip art. Okay, and that should give me a sort of simpler versions. Okay, that looks like quite a nice one with a sort of simple silhouette there. So I'm going to try this one. So I'll click on there. And I'm going to try just from here. I'm going to try going right click copy and into 2D design and right click paste. Okay, and that's worked quite nicely. Sometimes images will work, sometimes they won't. So if it doesn't work, then just try a different one. Okay, I've got lucky with that one. That one works. So let's show you the next step. So the next step is I need to convert this from a series of dots, which it is at the moment, into a set of instructions. Okay, and we do that by what we call vectorizing. So at the top and the toolbar here, we've got bitmaps down to where it says vectorize bitmap. I'm just going to click on that image, and it will give me various options here. Now, if I've got lots and lots of colors, okay, the easiest thing usually is just to go to monochrome there, which means it's black and white so the computer can handle that. I do have this here which I can kind of move around, and that can kind of sometimes make the lines clearer and thicker and easier for it to see. Okay, so I'm just going to go there, that seems about fine, and say OK, and then OK again. Alright, so that's now converted to a series of dots. Okay, if I want to see the dots, I can actually show you that. If I select the object and in the bottom here, go to Start Edit, you can actually see what they call nodes that are actually drawn in there. If you need to change something on it, you can kind of remove a little bit. So for example, if there was some writing in the background, you can actually highlight around those sort of orange and yellow dots, and it'll give you the option here to say delete node. So you can change that if there's something that's kind of extra in the background that's a little bit annoying or that you don't quite need. Okay, so remember to push End Edit to get back out, back to the normal view. Okay, so what do I want to do now? I want to draw around that image. Okay, so how I'm going to do that, I'm going to go over to the left hand side to the contour tool, click on there. I'm going to change that to 0, okay, because I want it to be exactly on there, on the actual line, and say OK. And then I'm going to go to color at the top here, so this is the line color, and change that for red, because obviously that's the cutting color. And now I just need to go near to the side and just click, and you should see there's a tiny little red line around there. If I now go to the select arrow and click on there, I should be able to just drag that to the side, and you should see there's now two objects. So I've now got the contour, the kind of outline I want, and the center bit, which I want to get rid of. Okay. If you do want to have anything in black, do remember the computer, the laser cutter will etch that, and it will take a long time. Okay, so avoid as much as you can kind of large sort of areas of black on the image. Okay, obviously if you want to just have your name or something like that, that's fine. Okay, let's get rid of that. So the next thing I want to do is I want to get this the right size. So at the moment I've just parked it in there. Okay. Now the important thing about the size is the actual board. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a rectangle over here. I'm just going to make it over here. Now while I'm here, on the top corner, this has got this step lock on, so I'm actually going to get rid of that, because what that does is it means that the cursor, as I'm moving, it's kind of jumping into kind of measured things, and I don't want that. It kind of limits where I can move to, so I'm just going to switch that off. Now to work out the size of this, I'm going to go to the left hand side to the dim lines, and as carefully as I can, I'm going to draw from the left to the right, and then pull away. And I'm going to do the same from the top to the bottom and pull away. Okay, so I know that that's exactly that size. Now if I get back to the black arrow, as long as I select all three objects there, so when three objects, I mean the actual rectangle, this dimension, okay, so the kind of height and the width, as long as I've got those, I can now move them around to get them to exactly the size I want, or as near as I can. So in terms of the length of that, I want it to be 151, so I'm just going to kind of move that backwards and forwards until I'm happy. Obviously it's better to be on the slightly bigger size, just so you know your board fits. It might be worth actually measuring your board, getting a ruler and just measure it, because just where the technicians cut the boards, sometimes they're a tiny little bigger, sometimes a little bit smaller, so it's worth just measuring the length of that and the width. Okay, my one I've measured is 151 by 21, so I'm just going to grab that top arrow and bring that down the way to 21. Oh, a little bit more. Okay, and obviously I can zoom in a little bit as well. If I'm making hard work of this, I can come in a little bit there. Okay, so I'm a mill that way too big and I'm a mill that way too big, which is going to be absolutely fine. Okay, in terms of, you should notice on your board there are actually two mounting holes as well, so you can actually always bolt them in as well. Okay, so happy with the size, so I'm now just going to delete that and that because I don't need this anymore. Now I need that bit there to fit into there. Now obviously if I move that over there at the moment, there's no way that's going to fit. Have a think about where you actually want your hands to rest on there and where you want to be able to play. Okay, so I want them to be sort of in this middle bit here, I think. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this around, so I select the saxophone image, the right hand dot over here, if I hover over it you can see it's a kind of, it allows me to swing that around, and I can rotate that. I want to maximize that sort of so I'm going to bring that to one of the corners, okay, and then I'm going to resize, let's move that up and out of the way over there. I'll resize as grabbing the corner. I'm also going to hold down the shift button at the same time. If I hold that, it means it won't kind of mess around with the kind of width or anything. It will keep the same ratio. So I'm going to make that as big as I can, so I'll use as much of that the board as I can. Okay, so that's going to fill that up nicely, and I should be able to grab that and park that in there. And again, I'm going to rotate that a little bit. Okay, and I can kind of move that to my heart's content until I think that that's kind of centered there. Okay, do be careful obviously to make sure that you've got enough of a gap on the sides there. It shouldn't be any kind of narrower than 3 mil, otherwise that would snap off. Okay, I think I'm quite happy with that in terms of the design. Now, when I make this, obviously I'm going to need to have one piece like this where the board's going to fit into, and then I'd need to make another one. So what I'd do is I'd cut that out as is, and then I'd come back to here, I would delete that bit there, and then I'd cut that out again. Okay, and then you've got the front piece, which has the where the board can go into, and then I've got this sort of backing piece where you can kind of glue the two bits together, and then you can hold on to the back, but it just makes it a lot more sturdy. Okay, hopefully that's been useful. Remember to send it to the laser cutter. You go File, Save As. You can just save this, and then you use your email and send it as laser cutter, all one word with an S for laser. Okay, hope that's been useful.